One of the most requested little things to do was starting an object based on a template, right? Where you have an existing object with some properties that you want to carry over, but be able to modify them in the new object, right? I started to work up an example using contracts where you would select like a banquet event order, a catering contract based on different templates. One might be for a wedding, one was for business meetings, and so on. And, you know, I didn't back it up and I lost it on the school's hard drive. So I got home the other day and I thought, well, I'll just take our solution from last term. Okay, so here's our good old HR solution, because we have quite a bit of similarity between a posting and a position, right? Now there wasn't enough though, so actually it turned out to be a bigger job. I should have gone back to my first idea because I had to take a whole bunch of the property, well, in particularly the skills which were in a posting, and add all that and all the infrastructure, all the controller methods and everything, so I could have it in position as well. And then of course I added several properties from position into posting, right, including the description, the salary, and so on and so forth, right? So I added that all in. So that way there's enough commonality to make it make sense to do it this way. Okay, so that was all a couple hours of preparation work just to do this quick demo, right? Okay, so then we came to the stage, well, maybe I should show you it working and then we'll look at the code. Sometimes it's easier to understand when you've seen it function. All right, so, oh gosh, I should have checked off remember me. Hopefully that will. Some browsers are better than others at doing that. Okay, so just a reminder then, so positions, the job position was basically, you know, the name, occupation, it was a lookup, starting salary, and so on. So I added the skills. That wasn't there before. So we have our different positions that we might be posting, right? So coming over to postings then, the idea was that first step in create new posting, step one is select a position as a template that you're going to base it on, right? So I used a little bit of the Ajax work that we did earlier on when you get additional information, so I can select professor, whatever, and it pulls up just display only, just so we can clearly see. Okay, so that's the position that we're going to base this new job posting on. I click next step, and then it copies it all over into the actual new posting itself. I can add the additional information like how many, the dates, and so on and so forth. And I can modify now the description, the salary. We aren't paying them that much to start this time around, right? Going to lower the salary, but we really want someone with leadership skills on the team. That wasn't part of the template of the actual position, so I can make those changes, and away we go, right? And you can, of course, edit and make further changes as well. But the idea is a two-step process to create it, so we copy it over. All right, so to do that in code, really, it wasn't too difficult. Coming to the controller in the, oh, that's not loud, in the postings controller, basically what we had to do, I'm just going to shrink everything down. We had our create, right? We had our normal get and post for the create process. So I added an extra one. So I copied the existing post, get for create, and modified the name. So just create start. This is where I start the create process, right? Same authorized restrictions. I'm calling popularly drop-down list because I was in too much of a hurry to separate it out. Actually, that gives me two separate drop-downs. I'm only using one, but that's okay. It got me my drop-down of positions, right? And then I return view create start. So I made a different view to start from, and that is called create start. So again, I just made a new view. By the way, you can do this anytime you need to, oops, sorry, you want to click on the actual postings folder. When you add a view, right, you can specify, you know, the layout that you want and so on. I forget what I used. I think I used details, but it doesn't really matter. But you can select a model, and that model doesn't have to be the model that actually is the controller is focused on. So that's what I did here. If I bring up the actual view itself, the create start, notice at the top, the model that this is based on is the position, right? because really I'm focusing at this stage on choosing a position. So it made the most sense to start there. And then I just add that little bit of heading at the top. Step 1, select a position as template. And really, all it really has here is my normal drop-down list for position ID. Right? So that's what we choose. Then these are all just display-only controls. And that's just that same little trick we did before, creating a method returning a JSON object. Right? So it just goes and gets the one position, and then I just populate the different controls on the screen, and away we go. So that's basically it in the controller. So once we do that, though, I should point out at the top here, our form, okay, specifies that when we submit, it goes to the regular create using get as a method, right? So it comes into the old-fashioned, the original one that was here, my action result for get for create, right? But I optionally am looking for the position ID. So assuming I come here with a position selected in the drop-down list, okay, then I go and I get that position first, single or default, with my where clause. Notice I'm including the skills, right? So that brings all the skills from the template as well. If it's null, then I'm just going to add a model error saying, oh, no position, populate and go back to the create start, right? So if they didn't actually select one, or maybe they select one and it just got deleted, whatever, right? I'll go back and redisplay the same create start view again. But if we actually have a position to work with, then really it's just a matter of generating a new posting. And as we do so, I just grab whatever properties I can from the position as a template, right? So the ID of the position becomes the foreign key, the position ID inside the posting, etc. And since I was here, I figured, I might as well set up a few defaults. Okay, so I figured that the closing date I'd set to 7 days in the future, and the start date 14 days. I mean, you can change them, but I might as well have a date in there. Number open 1, right? So the rest of it is just like the description is just copied over from the position. Same with the salary, right? And that's pretty much it. Now, the skills collection actually is surprisingly easy because it is a defined collection of a certain type of object. It's a straight assignment, right? So the new posting I'm creating, its skills collection, just gets the value from the skills collection inside the actual position. And that's all there is to it. Then I just call my populate, that's to get my checkboxes ready, right? And my drop-down list, and I call the create view and return posting. Okay? So that's, instead of coming up with a blank create view without a model, I'm actually passing the posting, okay, as a model. It's not saved to the database yet, though, so if they cancel or go back to the list, it's not like I have to worry about, I've created something, I have to clean it up out of the database, right? Some approaches to doing this involve creating it first in the database and then modifying it, but then if you cancel, you have to actually go in and delete it, right? So this is a fairly straightforward approach. No changes really to the final post for create, right? Because all we really have is a posting that was in the view that we pass in with all the usual and normal properties, and away we go. Our selected skills, string, arrays, so that we can actually have all our checkboxes carried over. So the code is already up in Blackboard. I decided to do a quick recording to explain what's in here that's new. As I said, 9/10 of the work was just getting the example ready to show it, and 1/10 was doing. Actually, although playing around with the layout of this form did take me a little bit. That was kind of fun, actually. I enjoyed doing that. Just playing with the bootstrap rows and column arrangement and so on, so that didn't remember me. That's what I get for using Internet Explorer, I guess, eh? Bum, 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 bum. Right. Just playing with this page was a little bit of fun, right? Getting it down. Yeah, well, I didn't show you that in code. I still can. So what I did for the skills required, rather than worrying about, you can in a JSON object, I could do a .each and move through all the collection and then build up a string there. But I'm more comfortable in C# than I am in JavaScript, to be honest with you. So what did I do, Mr. Lazy Pants? Of course. Sorry. That's the last thing I guess we didn't look at. In the postings controller, right down near the bottom, here's my get a position, okay? So just threw it in a try catch in case anything goes wrong with the position ID or anything like that. So just go and get the position, single or default, including the occupation and skills. And then for the skills though, what I did is just for each loop. And I just built up a string. That way, since I'm returning an anonymous object anyway, I can put whatever kind of properties in here I want. I just made sure they were all strings. It makes it easier on the receiving end just have a string to display, right? So the name, the description, the salary, I'm two-stringing to a currency book because it's just for display only. And the occupation title, I can pull that out of the occupation object inside the position. And skills, I'm just building up my array with BR tags after each skill name. So that displays nicely inside the page, and away we go. All right, so that's it. Hopefully no questions because I don't have time for any.